definition of your project is of a feeling, especially loved, that is not returned or rewarded. How does that name paint like a general picture of the overall message that you're trying to portray within your music?
I think like sonically the music is pretty fitting to the title of the project. I can't necessarily think of exactly what was in my mind when I came up with the name. I just thought it was a really nice word that kind of portrayed like a melancholic picture in my mind, and that's what the music was sounding like. So I was like, okay, this fits perfectly.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it kind of fits like a mindset that I've always had. Like I've always felt like a lot of feelings that I felt towards things and people were not reciprocated, and that's not necessarily love. Like usually the word is used in that way, like unrequited love. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I find myself like there's a lot of ways that I couldn't really relate to a lot of people, and I thought maybe it was kind of a fitting name for the project. I was also just a
Right.
sad kid. Still
Hey,
a sad kid, but I mean, hey.
at least you're not playing. I think you said metalcore. What was it?
Yeah, I was super into metalcore growing up. Like in high school,
Oh,
that's what I did. Like
hey
for like
man, I
5
still like
years.
it. I
I
still
still love
like it.
it. Well, maybe not love it, but it's definitely starting to get pretty old. I try to keep up. Holy, this beer is really doing it to me. Sorry.
What type of beer are you drinking?
I'm just drinking a Sapporo right now. It's a
Sapporo.
Japanese beer. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. But yeah, growing up, like that was always what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in a metalcore band and like tour, and like we did. Like we were touring like all over the continent. We did like coast to coast in the US tours. We were on a label called Tragic Hero Records. Um yeah, man, that's what I grew up
What was the name
wanting
of
to do.
that?
Of the project?
Yeah.
Oh man, do we have to?
No, we don't. Skip right past. All right. So,
No,
how does
we
your
can do it if you
name?
want to. It's called
No,
no, you don't want to.
no, you don't want.
No,
I mean, if you don't want,
I don't really want people to hear. We'll do it
no, no, that's
off the
good.
record. I'll show it to you. Yeah.
We'll skip right past that. So, I would do the same thing with my band.
Yeah.
All right. So, how does your name? No, we already did that. Now you're throwing me into a loop. So, how does being in a one-man band help and or hurt the amount of progress that you can put into your project?
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of helping and a lot of hurting, I guess. How does it help? It's like really good for me because I'm a pretty like opinionated songwriter type of guy. I really just want everything to sound the way that I want it to sound. And that was always like a conflict when it came to being in a band. I mean, that was part of the reason I wanted to do the solo route in the first place. I like collaborating and I don't know, the camaraderie of being in a band is like super fun, but once you start like relinquishing creative like integrity, you start to like not really relate to the product anymore. Like once it's like
Yeah.
this thing that everybody's kind of put their own flair on, like sometimes it comes out cool, but sometimes you're like, yeah, it's just not how I wanted it to be. So
Yeah.
I really like being able to write everything and produce everything myself. Maybe not produce, I hate producing. I like writing everything. So that's the main pro for me, I guess.
How about like merchandise and advertising?
I don't know. I'm not great at the like marketing side of things, but I try my best to because I do want this to be a career. I do want to do this like forever.
Mhm.
So you know, there's less people to fund things like that. Like when I was playing in a band, it was always like, okay, we're all gonna pitch this amount of money, and we're gonna do
$50 a
yeah.
piece,
Everybody give me
and then you never
$50, and
see, and then you never see that $50
exactly.
come back to
Oh
you.
yeah, exactly. It's just like, what did we put that money into? And I'm like, I don't fucking know.
It went to my
Publicist or some shit.
girlfriend's date that
Yeah,
we
my
went on.
girlfriend's mom is starting in she's a publicist, and she sent our album to some radio station, and it's like, okay, cool. Well,
The vocalist just took it for beer.
exactly, yeah. No, it didn't actually go anywhere. So
S-
sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, okay.
Um, so on the new album, Mosaic 2, I feel that like you've added like a new element to your sound.
Yeah.
Do you agree, and like how so?
Yeah, of course. I think I'm trying to do that kind of like with every record. Every record I'm trying to like, you know, just kind of mess around and do new things and add to like the sonic palette that is Unrequited. Because I mean, the first album was kind of like a good foundation for what the core sound is, and then Stars Wept was very like, I was putting a lot of my like orchestral influences on there and
Hmm.
all that cool cinematic shit. And then Mosaic 1 was very much like the post rock influences started coming in. And then with
Yeah,
this
for sure.
record, this record, I don't know, it's like all over the place. There's a lot of like really weird experimental stuff that won't necessarily stay in the sound. Like I'm not like, there's a trap beat on this album. I don't know if you heard that.
I actually have not.
Okay, it's in
Like
the
I said,
second
I
track. So
listened to half of it.
okay, so the second track is like this 10-minute thing, and it's like a really long, just blast beat black metal thing. And
Hmm.
I thought it would be funny to just put a trap beat at the end of it because it's like I wanted it to be like, I wanted all the like elitist guys to be like, "Oh, finally he's doing some black metal and like heavy stuff." And then at the end
I
they just get a trap beat. They're like, "What the fuck?"
I actually have a question all the way at the bottom, but
Sure. Sure.
this
You want to
kind of
bring it up?
goes right off of that. What do you wish that you could like change about the black metal scene? Like, do you think that a lot of them are like take the music too seriously? Like,
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm not super familiar with what it's like now, but I've always found it to be like one of the most elitist of metal scenes for sure. Um,
yeah.
But my favorite thing about, and I've like said this a few times, but like my favorite thing about black metal in general is kind of like the reapplication of the same ethos that like founded the genre. You know what I mean? Like like
Hmm.
the early 90s kind of guys, or yeah, I guess 90s, late 80s, they were just kind of like unhappy with the state of metal and like what it could sound like. So they just made this like fucking crazy, shitty, raw sound that everyone was like, what? That's like not metal. You can't just do that. So like I kind of like just reapplying that to black metal. It's like, well, how do we like expand on this and like expand on what black metal can sound like?
Yeah.
So I like kind of just like, adding new things to black metal, which is like I mean, black metal is a genre that like the fans really don't want it to be fucked with. Like they really don't want the core sound to like be fucked with at all. They just want like their raw, like shitty sounding, like
Yeah.
Burzum
Screeching
lo-fi shit.
vocals.
Yeah, exactly. So once people start adding like atmospheric kind of elements or like shoegaze elements, they're like, that's not fucking black metal. And it's like, okay, sure, I guess not. Like I've never really claimed that like I'm a black metal artist because
Right.
ultimately it doesn't just sound like that. There's a lot of black metal elements, but I would never like, I don't know. I don't know. I would never be like, I am a black metal artist because I just don't think that's true.
Now, who do you actually like look up to when it comes to like orchestra and stuff like that?
When it comes to what, sorry?
Orchestra.
Orchestra?
Yeah.
Like orchestral music?
Correct. Yeah.
Um Hans Zimmer is definitely my boy.
Okay.
I'm
How
a
about metal bands?
oh, metal bands. One of
Yeah.
my favorites is Nightwish. I don't know if that's gonna get me some hate, but I'm a huge Nightwish fan. Huge.
Hey, no hate. No hate.
Tuomas, their keyboard player slash he composes literally everything. The guy's like an absolute like genius, basically. Um, so that's one. What else do I listen to? Um, I don't know. I really like Karek Angren. I don't know if you've ever listened to them. They're like a black metal
Yep.
band,
I
like a
actually
symphonic
just
black metal
listened to
band.
their new song today
Oh, is
or
that
something I
Monster?
just saw.
I think it's called
I
Monster.
yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It's definitely different.
Have you seen them live?
No, I haven't.
They kick ass.
I can imagine they would, and they're like they're only like a 3-piece or something, right? Or did they tour with more
I
people?
think they're a 4-piece.
Okay, they started as a
I
three
know they
piece.
have a piano player live.
Yeah, they actually started as a drummer, piano player, and a guitar player.
Yeah, if you get a chance to check them out, they definitely give a show. And I actually got to meet them too, which was kind of cool. Super down to earth guys.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. They actually came to Ottawa, but I didn't get the chance to check them out, which I should have because not a lot of bands come here.
Hmm.
So it's probably not going to happen again.
Right.
But fuck it, dude. But yeah, I really like that band. Specifically, their first record was like super influential for me. And I've got a side project now. It's called The Ember, the Ash, and the first album was like this depressive black metal, super lo-fi sounding shit. Excuse me, but I'm turning it into some like big symphonic black metal thing. So I'm taking a lot of Karek Angren influences there.
You're gonna take on another project.
I already did. I already put out the first record,
Damn.
but like the whole reason was like in 2019, like I felt like I wasn't doing anything. Like
Mm-mm.
basically at the beginning of 2019, I decided I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and pursue music full time and just see if I can make it work. So I was like, I'm gonna quit my job, and I already have this like album that's like locked and loaded and ready to come out, which was Mosaic 2. And then it took
Mhm.
ended up taking the entire year to come out. So I was like, okay, bad timing for an album to take this long. Like I just quit my job. I kind of need money. so
Right.
so I wrote like the next Unrequited album, and then in like literally 1 month's time, I was like, I'm just gonna try something else. Like I'm just gonna try writing some like depressive black metal shit and see how it turns out. So I just wrote an album of that, and I was like, okay, new project, I guess.
New project done.
hmm
So, Stars Swept to the Sea has been one of my favorites. Like I was talking to you earlier. Um, what are some things like behind the scenes that nobody knows about the album?
That's a pretty good question. Um, fuck. What does nobody know about the album? I have no idea.
Did you what tuning did you play in?
I believe that whole record is in drop C.
Drop C.
I believe,
Now
but
I'm guessing you use all plugins and stuff.
yeah. I think for that record, that was the first record where I had just gotten the Axe Effects. So I was using an Axe Effects
Oh
2.
wow.
Yeah. So it doesn't sound sick because I'm a shit producer, but yeah, it's an Axe Effects 2. Um, and I believe it was in drop C, but I could be mistaken. I know the first record is in drop C, and then I've since moved to drop B flat. So all the records I've done, I think either after Star Swept or starting from Star Swept or in drop B flat. I could probably like figure it
Mhm.
out in 2 seconds if I just listen to it, but pretty sure it's in drop C, and then everything after that's in B flat.
Now, do you track bass
No,
naturally?
I've never tracked bass, but I really want to start tracking bass. Um, It's all plugins. I don't on the first two records I used something terrible. Like I'm pretty sure it was like the stock Logic bass. um
Right.
so I think that's what's in there. And I just kind of made it like super quiet. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll just kind of disguise this in there. And like a lot of black metal is known to have like not very much bass anyway. But
Yeah,
I
it's just
always wanted to
very
write I always wanted
twangy.
to have like some cool bass parts still. So there's still a few parts where the bass like sticks out and I'm like, it sounds terrible, but whatever. Um,
Hey man, as long as your computer can handle it, we're all set.
yeah, really, fuck. I've recently started using Nuclear Bass. It's from Impact Studios, which is the guy from Humanity's Last Breath. I don't know if you've heard of that band.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has his own plugins, and I started using that. It's like super cheap. It's less than $100, maybe like $70, and it sounds really cool. Basically, I have a dual bass tone. One of them's just like a low end kind of regular bass tone, and one of them's just like this super hideous, like distorted, like completely crushed high end. So I just like mix those two things together, and it sounds really cool.
Gotcha. So when you write lyrics, what are you trying to achieve? Like how much time do you put into the writing versus instrumentals?
Well, for Unrequited, there are none. There are no
Right.
lyrics. But I do occasionally include like little poems here and there on the records, like inside the in the physical copies.
Mm-hmm.
But fuck, what was the question?
It was a two-parter.
My bad. I just need to hear it one more time.
Oh, that's all right. Like when you write lyrics, what are you
hmm
trying to achieve? But like,
Okay. I guess lyrics have always been kind of like a bottleneck for me. I'm always like, what should I write about? Um, and I guess I've always been a little bit better at kind of expressing myself through instrumental music as opposed to lyrics.
mhm.
So I usually have like a kind of like a small story or feel in my mind when I write the music, and then I usually just don't write any lyrics to it because Unrequited's devoid of lyrics. But for something like The Ember, the Ash, I guess I can kind of delve into the lyrics. I usually write about. I feel like I've had a pretty uneventful life, so I don't have like a lot of like past traumas and things like that I write about. So it's usually a lot of just like embellished feelings, or I'm writing from the perspective of somebody else who has experienced certain things. Like the upcoming record is about mental health and like suicidal thoughts or like intrusive thoughts kind of things, which a good friend of mine was going through last year. So it's like
Mhm.
a bit of a concept album surrounding that. So yeah, that's I don't know. It's just kind of about whatever I feel like writing. You know.
So, do you tend to take a lot of time on doing vocals, or is that like kind of the like for me, like bass? Like when I gotta record bass, like I could give less than a flying fuck.
um Well, with Unrequited, it's really weird because there's no lyrics. It's all just kind of like placements. Like I'm just like, oh, there should be a vocal here, and there should be a vocal here, and it's kind of a really weird process. It's definitely like the last touch that I throw on top of everything because the instrumental is like the song basically, and then the vocals are just this atmospheric
It's like
noise.
a layer.
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of this thing that's thrown on top and blends in with everything. So I usually just kind of like note down like places where a vocal would be cool, and then yeah, it's actually a really weird process.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've always been curious about that.
yeah, it's strange. It's like nothing I've ever done before because you always have to think about like I'm always thinking about flow and lyrics and like rhyme schemes and like rhyming within a flow and like that kind of thing. With like other projects, I always think about that stuff. I'm always like really meticulous with it. But with Unrequited, I'm just like, yeah, I could throw a wailing scream here, I guess.
So, who is Ghost from Ottawa, Ontario?
Oh man, who am I? I
Right.
don't know.
Who are you?
Um, I'm a pretty like quiet, anxious kid. I mean, I'm not like I don't know. I don't do a whole lot these days. A lot of my time is spent just within my room, like working on music and all that. But I mean, in terms of like a bit of a backstory, I just had a very normal childhood. Got super interested in music around 15, 14, 15. Actually, got super into metal around 12. And then got kind of like started really thinking about wanting to pursue music around like 15. So I picked up the guitar around 15, started playing in metalcore bands from 15 to 20, basically. Um, Either just playing local shows or once we got signed, we were, touring the continent, doing all this cool shit. But starting in like 2016, I guess I was 21. That's when I was kind of like, well, I think I kind of want to pursue the solo route. And,
Yeah.
I've been doing that ever since. And like, life has been pretty low key since then because I haven't really been doing too much band stuff. I mean, I'm still pursuing little band endeavors outside of that. Like I have some friends that I lived with and we do music together. It's more like alternative rock and all that shit. So there's still like little band endeavors here and there, but for the most part, I'm just like really isolated these days.
Yeah.
um,
Especially now.
Especially now, yeah. I mean, like, but I'm pretty adjusted for this kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah. I've been saying this from day one of this podcast. Like, everybody's flipping their lid about this virus
Yeah,
except musicians, because musicians just they find something to do. Like, you think about people that are athletes or um I don't know, like businessmen, like that study up and stuff. Like they don't, I don't know, they don't find time. Like they're just like, oh, I'm bored. I don't have anything to do, so I'm gonna watch TV. Whereas musicians are like, shit, man, I'm gonna write a full album. Like
pretty
I'm gonna
much. Yeah,
do social media. I'm gonna get stuff done.
yeah. Because I like quarantine myself every day anyway. Like I wake up and I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do today? I'm just going to write music, sit in my house, and I mean, the only thing that's really changed is like I just do my grocery run like less frequently. I do like my merch shipping out runs a little bit less frequently. Like I just do that once a week.
Right.
Um, if I want to go get a Monster Energy, I don't do it. Like normally, I would just walk like 10 minutes and get like snacks or whatever. But I just kind of I don't really do that anymore. I just do it all like in a big load.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's what I've
nothing's
been
nothing's
doing.
really changed. Like the only thing, like I'm starting to miss seeing people for sure. Like I'm lucky that I live with my like closest friends, so that's good. But I miss seeing other friends. I miss going to bars. I miss going to restaurants. So I do miss a lot of shit. It's affecting me a certain amount, but at the end of the day, like this is pretty damn normal for me.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so what are some tips that you could give to a solo artist um, that want to produce their own music?
Um, I think like doing it for the right reason is important. Like it's got to just be like for like the love of just doing music and like I don't know. Like I feel like this is definitely the wrong industry to be in if you're trying to like get popular and like get famous and like make a career out of it. I am trying to
Right.
do those things. Well, at least try to make a career out of it. But ultimately, like this is just kind of the music that I want to write. So I'm like above all writing the exact music that I want to write and making it as good as I possibly can. And that's like a really good foundation in terms of like getting recognized because
Yeah, and try to get paid in the meantime. You
exactly,
know.
yeah, for sure. Like the like Unrequited was like recognized pretty quickly, I guess. And it was really helpful back in the day because there was a lot of like there was the atmospheric black metal channel and the Light Fox channel. I don't know if you're familiar with those.
Atmospheric black metal. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so that
follow
that
that
channel's back.
religiously.
It's back up, but it got taken down for a while, um, and like all the followers got lost because there was like this. I don't know if you remember like all of that shit that went down, but
No, I just listen to the music. What
right.
happened?
Um, basically the I won't say what label because I don't want to give them any bad press because it was just one guy from the label. It's a smaller label. Um,
Hmm.
this one guy from a label like just kind of outed atmospheric black metal albums, the YouTube channel. He outed him for like putting ads on the videos and all that shit. And a bunch of people got behind him, being like, "Oh, this guy's not in it for the music. He's just trying to make money off of it." Blah blah blah
Off
blah.
advertisements.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of those.
Well,
The thing is, a lot of those ads are from the artists. Like all of my music is monetized on YouTube, and
yeah,
even a random channel that has my music uploaded has ads, but they're coming from me. So
right.
that's what's happening for a lot of those channels. So yeah, I guess his channel ended up getting removed completely because of that. Because there was like this huge outrage around it. So it's really shitty. Like a lot of
I
my
mean,
go ahead.
go ahead. Um, like I kind of agree, but at the same time, it's like, dude, this guy busts his ass to like show all these people. Like he's the reason why um a lot of people have checked out your music.
Oh yeah,
Like,
for sure. Like for me, that was like the beginning of how I got recognized was because of him.
and
Um,
that's a big channel.
and it was way bigger. Like I don't know if you remember the numbers from like even just 1 year ago. I think it was about a year ago that this happened, but like some bands had like millions of plays on their like atmospheric black metal album, and like
Yeah, and
I
that's
had
crazy
tons.
for black metal.
I was probably coming close to like 100,000 on the debut album on the debut's like stream or whatever, and now that's
Hmm.
gone. So it's like fuck, those numbers are gone.
Yeah, you're like, I can't share this shit
Yeah,
no more.
exactly. So that was kind of a bummer. But yeah, they were like pretty crucial in terms of like me starting out because they shared my music and the Light Fox channel, which is the same guy, but he did like singles on that channel, like black metal singles instead of
Hmm.
records. So that was really big. So that's how I got recognized by the same label that fucked him over. um, I guess I kind of just outed the label in a way, but yeah, I put my record out on that label, the first album, and then yeah, like it just kind of went up from there. But the initial start of like my recognition was entirely from that channel.
Right. Yeah, I don't even know how to get a hold of that. Like, do they have a Facebook page?
They have Facebook and they have email addresses, but luckily I was friends with Dennis from Ghostbath, and he was already in contact with them and friends with them, or him rather. It's just one guy, and so I was talking to him. I was like, "Oh, I'm thinking about doing my own little black metal project," and he was like, "Oh, okay, I can pitch it to this guy. He's a friend of mine." So I was like, "Cool," and then yeah, that worked out.
Gotcha. So, being that the project started in 2016, what are three things that you've learned that you wish you would have known in the beginning?
Fuck, probably so many things. Oh man, I'm blanking right now, but there's got to be a ton of things. Um,
How about marketing? Start with that.
I don't know. I don't know if I've ever really done that properly. Like I've never really been like super familiar with how to do it. I mean, okay, I have my ways, like a few little secret ways that I kind of marketed, and then yo, thanks man. Sorry, I just got my roommate to bring me a beer, so I don't have to.
You're off to a good
Yeah,
start, man.
exactly. um, yeah, I have a few little interesting ways that I kind of market the music. Um, but like in the beginning, yeah, I guess in the beginning I wasn't really doing anything. I was just kind of like posting it in like black metal Facebook pages, being like, "Please check this out." Um, but I don't know. I've never, even now, I just can't think of like a whole lot of advertisement that I really do. I haven't really been like investing in like Facebook ads or Instagram ads or Twitter ads or anything because I don't know if this is like some tinfoil hat shit, but I've heard that it completely wrecks your natural engagement or like how
Oh, yeah, I don't doubt it.
yeah, like I've just heard that that's a thing. Like once you start paying for ads, it just starts cutting your natural like engagement and stuff like that. So you have to
They're
keep
just
putting
like,
it
"Oh,
into
this
ads.
guy's got money, so
Yeah, they're
we're
like,
gonna
oh, he's
make
just
it
gonna keep putting it into
impossible."
ads. Yeah, exactly. So I stopped doing that a while ago, and like my engagement's fine on those platforms, so I'm cool with it. But fuck, dude, I don't know. I mean that was one of the reasons I wanted to work with Prophecy for the last album is because they're like a obviously like this multi-million-dollar corporation. So I was like, okay, well maybe they're just gonna be better at like at marketing this shit and like putting it out there.
Mhm.
But all that I try to do, I guess these days, is I try to like maintain relationships with like press places. Like I just have a few contacts everywhere that I can just be like, hey man, the new album's out, check this out. And whether those are like reviewers or if it's like a I don't know, fucking like metal injection or whatever, that's just gonna post about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that's all I really do these days. I there's still a lot that I could be doing.